Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing the entire Call of Duty franchise on the RTX 3060, so these are the ones I have on Steam. The rest are on battle.net, unfortunately I have them there. So let's get started with the first one. Call of Duty 1 from 2003. As you can see, I'm easily at 144, but if you keep the frame rate unlocked, you get like over 400 FPS, which is ridiculous, and it has some issues with the logic in the game and the movement and all that, so my advice is that you keep it at 144 as a maximum, no more than this. Just keep it like this and you'll be fine. Otherwise, yeah, the game won't work correctly because some stuff is tied to the frame rate, unfortunately. But as you can see, it works completely fine. You need to edit a config file to get it to 4K, like I'm doing right now, which is super simple. There's a link for the instructions in the description. Let's get out of the way, AI. So yep, that's Call of Duty 1. Not much to say really. Very old game and works fantastically well. So let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty 2 supports 4K natively, which is pretty impressive, at least for the game from that age. Everything on the highest, 2x MSAA. So let's go, and we're getting basically over 200 FPS. When there's transparencies on screen, it's going to drop. So keep that in mind, you'll see it right now. We jump from 240 to... Come on. So it goes through the smoke now, and I drop into the upper hundreds, so you lose like 80 FPS. So my advice, just like on the first one, just lock it to 144 and you should be good to go. Super easy to run. The game still looks pretty good, in my opinion. It's clearly a Call of Duty game, so there's nothing to worry about. It'll be okay. So yeah, that's Call of Duty 2, runs at 4K just fine. You can even use MSAA as I showed you. So let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty 3, it never came out for PC, but with RPCS3 emulator, we can actually play it at 4K. And the only thing that I had to change was disable anti-aliasing in the RPCS3 settings. And the wavelength frequency is at 120. That means that the game now runs at 6 FPS. The only issue is that the cutscenes run at double the speed. That's the only downside. But again, this game never came out on PC. They never made a PC port, interestingly enough. I think they didn't have time to make it, actually. That's what Treyarch said. So now that it's playable on RPCS3, you can actually play it if you never did it before. And it looks pretty good. Clearly better than Call of Duty 2, visually speaking, obviously. But it's so rare, in my opinion, so weird to not have this game on PC. And of course you'll have to use a controller for this one, since it's emulated. You can try to use mouse and keyboard, but it's not amazing. So yeah, there you go. It works fantastically well. Just make sure to at least have a 4-core 8-thread CPU, and you'll be good to go. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, so 4K, everything on the highest, 4x MSAA, maximum textures. Let's get into it. And as you can see, over 200 FPS. You can lock it to 144 if you want to. I'd say that's my best solution for this one, to avoid some of the frame rate tied thanks to the logic. Oh man, what a legendary moment. Switching to your rifle, it's going to be faster on reloading. Come on, Price. Go, go, go! Oh yeah, what a legendary game. I played this so many times. Okay. I did it! I've seen better. Oh, shut up, Bryce. Anyway, so Call of Duty 4, as you can see, works fantastically well, obviously. But lock it to 144 for a better experience in general. Call of Duty World at War, one of my favorites, 4K, 4x MSAA, everything on the highest, including textures, obviously. And this one is actually locked to 90 FPS. You can uncap the frame rate if you want to, but for the sake of the game working correctly, I highly recommend you stick to 90 FPS as a maximum. But the GPU can totally do it. Not an issue whatsoever. Even with 4x MSAA at 4K, even if you lower the resolution, you'll stay at 90. For example, you play at 1440p or something like that. That's not an issue at all. And man, what a good game. This is one that I recommend you go check out before any other one from Call of Duty. The story holds up so well. So gritty and realistic in that regard. So yeah, if you can, please play this one. It's one of the best ones in my opinion. But as you can see, no issues running it even at 4K, and it still looks great in my opinion. The art really holds up. So yeah, that's World at War. Let's jump into the next one. Modern Warfare 2, the one from 2009, 4K, highest settings, 4x MSAA. And this is another one that runs at over 100 FPS. If you want more FPS, you can play at 1440p or disable MSAA altogether, but I think 140 FPS is more than enough for this one. So yeah, great game. There's also a remaster of this one that we're going to test today as well. So yeah, obviously no issues with this one. It works great. This is another one I recommend just for the campaign alone. The campaign is pretty short, and there's also custom servers on the internet. So all up to you. But this one is still great looking in my opinion. And at 4K there is no aliasing whatsoever. It looks super sharp, so... Call of Duty Black Ops 1, 4K, 4x MSAA, everything on the highest settings. And this one is also locked to 90 FPS, unfortunately, just like World at War, which I'm guessing again is an engine thing. Some stuff is tied to the frame rate. But at 90 it shouldn't be a problem at all. There's no problem hitting the target at all. You can also unlock the frame rate using a config file, but I don't think it's worth doing, because again, some stuff is tied to the frame rate. So I don't think going over 90 is worth it. But man, what a legendary game. Black Ops 1, another one I think is worth playing only the campaign. You can also play multiplayer, but it's not safe. This will happen with some of the games in the franchise. That there is an exploit that they can basically execute code on your computer remotely, so stay safe and don't play on those. So yeah, let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the first Modern Warfare 3. So 4K, everything maxed out, 4x MSAA, and we're on the first mission. And well, this one runs just fine, as expected. I mean, they're releasing one game each year. For a while, the games will run on the highest settings at 4K, which is great. I mean, props to the developers for making the UI look good even at a super high resolution, considering its time. came out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I mean, the UI still looks super sharp at 4K, which is not something that I usually see in most games from this era. Usually the UI is super blurry or too small when increasing the resolution, but on this one it's not the case, and it looks pretty sharp. I'm blown away with that. Of course, textures are not the best, but again, it's more than 10 years old, this game. So let's jump into the next one. Black Ops 2, 4K as well, high shadows. In the advanced settings, the only thing I actually lowered is depth of field, because if this is anything over low, when you aim down sights, you lose like 30 FPS, and it looks basically the same. And well, this one is a non-issue. There's sections where it's a little bit more demanding with a lot of foliage. It's usually above 100 FPS, so no issues whatsoever. So yeah, an absolute classic. I highly recommend it. Hopefully Microsoft, now that owns all the Call of Duty games basically, can fix that issue and we can play online again. Play online, but in a safe manner. So yeah, it works great. So let's jump into the next one, shall we? Call of Duty Ghosts, 4K. Basically the highest settings. No dynamic fur because it destroys performance, and honestly it's hard to notice, so yeah. And this one I remember was the game that made me upgrade to 8 GB of RAM on my system, because it was one of the first Call of Duties that the minimum requirements was 8 GB of RAM. I know it sounds very low by today's standards, but at the time it wasn't 100% the norm. Let's leave it at that. But nowadays, the newest Call of Duty is like 16 gigs when we're playing the campaign. And this one has an interesting feature. When you're aiming down a scope, it only zooms in the scope part. It's like a picture-in-picture graphical thing that really affects performance. So as you can see, I have like 90 FPS, I aim down sights, I drop into the 70s. No big deal because we have the performance to spare, but in some cards, I don't use sniper rifles due to that. But it looks pretty nice. So yeah. That's basically Call of Duty Ghosts, no problems at 84K, looks super crisp. But it's Call of Duty Ghosts in the end. At least for the campaign, I do recommend it. For the multiplayer, it's also not safe to play online on PC at the moment. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, so this one is also at 4K on the highest settings. The only thing that I lowered was motion blur. I'm not interested in that effect. And that's basically it. And this is a game I really enjoyed back in the day. I also remember that this one, with 4 gigs of RAM, was hard to run. But I think it still holds up today. They really improved the engine quite significantly when they made this one. Although I think this was the first one for the last gen consoles, which means PS4 and Xbox One. So this one was a cross-gen title. It looked horrible on PlayStation 3. So yeah. This one on the last-gen consoles was kind of a disappointment. But visually holds up quite well, actually. It really surprised me when it came out, especially when it comes to textures. They did a great job on this one. What the hell are you guys? So let's jump into the next one. Black Ops 3, this one is also at 4K. On the advanced settings, I'm basically using high settings and no order independent transparency. This destroys performance and I don't notice much of a difference personally. And this game, I already had it on my hard drive because I play zombies in this Call of Duty. There's a lot of maps, a lot of mods. And I think it's one of the first versions of zombies right now. So if you want to play zombies, this is the one that you should get, at least in my opinion. It also has the legacy zombie maps from Black Ops 1 and 2. And it runs pretty well. There is some stutter every once in a while, unfortunately. Seems to be an issue with the game itself. But otherwise, it's pretty good. Didn't have much of a problem with it so far. At least not in modern computers. So yeah. Let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, so 4K once again. And this one is on the almost the highest settings. It's a mix of high and extra. No super sampling, of course, it's very demanding. And well, we are in this mission that is a little bit more open than I'm used to, at least in this game. And visually it's much superior to Call of Duty 4, obviously. It came out way after. But it still feels like Call of Duty 4, which is a great thing in my opinion. I don't know, I think they hit the nail on the head. The thing is, the multiplayer doesn't run particularly great. And there's basically nobody playing the multiplayer on this one. So you'll be playing... Well, you're not going to be playing. You'll be basically in a lobby waiting for players. Which is a huge downside in my opinion. They were going to make a mod to play every map on this engine, but Activision took it down. So that sucks. Oh! Okay. Let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So 4K. Highest settings. Basically SMA T2X. And everything like you see here, with a little bit extra FOV. And this one actually ran pretty well. I was expecting worse performance. And this still looks pretty good in my opinion. It got very harsh reviews because people didn't want to see futuristic shooters at the time. And I think it came around the same time as Battlefield 1, so yeah, it was a very tough competition, let's say. But the game itself works pretty well, as you can see. Native 4K, over 60 all the time. Super smooth. If you're playing at 1440p, you'll be over 100 FPS basically all the time. So nothing to say about this one really. Works pretty well. So if you're interested on this one, not an issue. Getting over 60s all the time. Oh my god, I'm horrible. Yeah, when you get hit, you cannot see anything, which kind of makes sense, but it's still annoying. Call of Duty World War II, 4K. We're using the pre-T2X resolution, which is 75% resolution, but it's an upscaler that looks pretty good. Then settings is basically almost the highest. I just disabled the motion blur and depth of field. Then the rest is basically maxed out. And what to say, the game runs just fine. It uses a lot of VRAM though, it uses like 10 gigabytes. Kinda crazy. In my opinion at least, for a game of this era. 10 gigabytes seems like a little bit excessive. But one difference about this Call of Duty over the other ones is that you have to manually heal yourself. It doesn't auto-heal you when in cover like the other ones. So it needs you to pay a little bit more attention. But it looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed when it comes to the visuals. Although the sounds of the guns are not amazing. But it cannot do everything perfectly. Alright, let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So if you don't remember this one, it's because it was multiplayer only. And we're at 4K, basically high settings. And I'm playing against bots because there's nobody playing this game. There's no... I couldn't find servers with people on them. There's some European servers here and there, but... yeah, no. I just have it here because it's a Call of Duty game. But nobody's playing this. I needed bots. Which is pretty funny. Although I'm happy that bots are available. And this game needed you to heal manually as well. Which is pretty interesting in my opinion. So yeah. Not much to say about this one really. I just recommend you stay away from it because it's multiplayer only. It was the first Call of Duty to have a battle royale. But that's about it. And nobody's playing that anymore in Black Ops 4. But it runs well at 4K. So let's jump into the next one, shall we? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. So starting from this game, we're doing 1440p to maintain good performance. So we're at 1440p. Basically the highest settings with ray tracing disabled. Not sure why they deleted this in the newer ones. And DLSS on quality. At 1440p, at least in my opinion with this, looks pretty good. Runs at 120, over 120 FPS. And it looks great. Again, I don't know why they removed ray tracing. Oops, friendly fire. From Modern Warfare 2 onwards. Alright, so as you can see, performance is fine, even when under fire, which is usually when I drop frames in the other games. So if you're playing multiplayer or something like that, you will be just fine, over 120 basically all the time. And this game looks great, it holds up so well. I know it's 5 years old only, but I mean, the art on this one holds up better than the newer games, at least in my opinion. I don't know what's different on this one, on the art department, but I just feel it looks better. I don't know why. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, 4K, basically highest settings. This is Modern Warfare 2 from 2009, remade with a newer engine and way better graphics. As you can see, this is what I showed you in Modern Warfare 2, the original one, but now with way better visuals. And we can still play at 4K over 60 all the time. If you want to play at 1440p, you'll be over 130 FPS across the board. So nothing to worry about. Uses way more VRAM, way more RAM, way more GPU resources, but visually is so much better than the original. But unfortunately it's not on Steam at the moment, it's only on battle.net, which is a waste. I wish it was on Steam. But hey, what can you do? I'm guessing at some point it's going to arrive on Steam. But right now only on battle.net, unfortunately. And they never remastered the multiplayer for this one, only the campaign. So yeah, that's basically it for this one. So let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, 1440p. Basically the highest settings. I installed the HD textures and models. I highly recommend you do so, especially for the models. Then the rest is on the highest. No ray tracing, because it's very demanding and there's a difference, but I don't think it's worth the performance impact. Quality DLSS. And 70% VRAM usage. We have 12 gigs, so it's more than enough, even if we put it like this, for stability purposes. So let's get into the game. And well, first impressions are good, performance is great, over 100 FPS. RAM usage is 18 gigabytes and VRAM usage is 9.5 gigabytes. That's pretty insane. But with Call of Duty, I'm not surprised at this point. But visually, this one is also pretty good. It's just more demanding than the previous one. To be expected, really. Still, this is one that I really enjoyed the campaign at. I also played lots of multiplayer when it came out. Now, sometimes I revisit the campaign. But it's a game that I really enjoy, personally. It's just a shame that it uses so much RAM. What the hell? Like 18 gigabytes. So yeah, fun game. Visually pretty good. Just download the high resolution models and textures and you'll be fine. But I really enjoyed this game when I play it on my own. So let's jump into the next one. Call of Duty Vanguard 1440p. Then when it comes to the settings, we're using basically the highest settings with quality DLSS. Personally, not a huge fan of this one, but it's one of the ones in the franchise. So 1440p, quality DLSS, 80% VRAM usage target. And let's get into the game. We're now into the game, and as you can see in this scene that is actually pretty demanding in most computers that I tried it on. Seems to be okay, over 80 FPS. But in comparison to the previous games in the franchise, it does run worse. The thing is, this scene has, well, the rain effects on screen. And that really affects performance on this one. Which I mean is okay, makes complete sense. But still, DLSS in my opinion in this game is a necessity. I mean, it's just nice to be able to be closer to 90 FPS. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So not much to say about this one. It runs well. As long as you tweak it properly, and this guy didn't see me. Alright. Here we go. Take the roof, hell yeah. Okay, I didn't see those guys. So as you can see, it's completely fine. So I think it's time to jump into the next one. For Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone 2, basically we're using the same settings, 1440p. The menus are almost identical. So just copy and paste the settings. We're using balanced DLSS, 70% memory scale, and high settings, as you can see. And those are basically the settings for, again, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Warzone. So let's get into it. Modern Warfare 2 campaign, a little bit more demanding than the multiplayer because bigger maps and all that. We're using night vision. That decreases performance, and without it we cannot see anything. And well, what to say about this one? Looks good. Performs pretty well with balanced DLSS. You can change the DLSS version if you don't like the edges. I think they're pretty good. The alternative, at least in my opinion, would be XeSS, because this one doesn't have FSR 2 or 3. It only has FSR 1, XeSS, and DLSS. Okay, time for action. I cannot see anything. I think that's the point. Really? Okay, sure. Sledge the hell out of it. M16. Nice. Finally some lights behind the door. Okay, nobody here. So yeah, and they kicked me out for some reason. I'm playing single player. Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer because the campaign, well, apart from being short, it's not super interesting, at least in my opinion. And this at least I can show you how I die in 2 seconds on every corner. Which I think it will be more interesting to see. There goes one. And there I go myself. And as you can see, with these settings we are basically over 90 FPS, feels super smooth. That doesn't make me any better at the game, of course. Yeah, that's just an illusion. So yeah, here I am. Jesus, they move so fast, what the hell? That's Call of Duty in a nutshell nowadays. You're basically shooting Sonic. Got him. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ha! Got equipment. I mean, visually it's okay. Personally, I like how Modern Warfare 2019 looks from an art standpoint. But this one is not bad. It's just personal taste. From this side. Jesus. So yeah, let's jump into Warzone now. So we finished this franchise video. Let's get one more. Actually got 2. Good job, mate. Proper good job, mate. Now playing Warzone, and this is basically the newest Call of Duty. It gets updated basically every day. And well, this time, why does it run worse? Well, way bigger map. And there's up to 100 players playing here, so it's way more demanding, that's what I'm trying to say. And we still get like 100 FPS inside, and outside we drop into the 90s, but that's not an issue in my opinion. Yeah, no, a pistol wasn't a good idea. I have a shotgun, but that's about it. Oh, he's right behind me. Got him. He's down. Wonderful. So yeah, Warzone is completely fine. It's very similar to Modern Warfare 3, but every year they use the new Call of Duty engine for everything, so we shouldn't be surprised. Okay, I think there's a couple enemies ahead. Oh. Okay, he was right on my side. Okay, perfect. And I had a laser sight. Oh man. So I think it's time for a conclusion. So what's my conclusion? Call of Duty on the RTX 3060 is just fine. Most games run at 4K at over 100 FPS. Then from Modern Warfare 2019 onwards, you basically can do 1440p at 100 FPS with upscaling. Very little upscaling actually. So I highly recommend it if you can get to play them. Especially the older ones, I think they hold up pretty well considering their age. The thing is, they usually don't drop in price, which is a shame. Because buying all the games in the franchise is probably more expensive than this computer, so all up to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see ya next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.